We are back on the Rational Boomer podcast. Hopefully your day is going well. It is Wednesday. I'm doing a TikTok live because I'm kind of lazy. I like it when people come in and help me talk. I get the regular panel. I get the people coming in. I get the questions and comments. It makes the show so much easier to do. So we're going to do a TikTok live, and there's plenty of stuff to talk about out there today. We've got the whole tariff situation. That's been a shit show. It's funny, when people woke up this morning on Tuesday morning, they saw the stock market go up a little bit. They saw it surge about 1,000 points. And all the Republicans, of course, are going, oh my God, it's coming back. We told you, Democrats, we told you. But here's the deal. Since Donald Trump took office, the stock market has lost like 6,000 points. It went up 1,000 points. That was hardly anything to cheer about. And in fact, when it was all said and done, at the end of the day, the stock market was down 300 points or thereabouts. So the Republicans are really trying hard to grab onto something, but ain't nothing fucking working at this point. Everything Donald Trump does fails, and he's failing big time here. We've got the regular folks coming on as we check those people in line here to talk. We've got Rebecca, who's from Pennsylvania and who's married to TJ the plumber, who's also from Pennsylvania. They're both moderators, which are incredibly important when we do a TikTok live, because we got a lot of Trump-fucks coming out, and they're probably feeling a little extra butthurt today, given how badly it's going for them and their boy Donald Trump. TJ, how you doing today?
Oh, I'm pretty good. Drive 250 miles, rush in the door, slam my food down, and join this live. So
I told you, man. I told you. I said, "Are you up for it tonight?" And you said, "Yeah." It won't be till 9:30. I said, "That's no problem for me. 9:30 Central Time."
Well,
but you don't have to kill yourself to do this, man. Just tell me 10 o'clock or tomorrow or whatever.
well, the issue was it ran a little late at work, so I thought I was going to get here a little bit earlier than I did, but that's okay.
So, Rebecca, were you with TJ tonight, or were you safely at
No,
home?
I was working job number 2. I got home about 2 minutes before him in time to heat up the food that he could rush in.
Well, just to make you feel better, prior to this, my wife and I went out to dinner. We watched Bosch Legacy. I watched the news for a little bit, had a couple of sodas, and I'm here. So I'm at a frazzle too.
Perfect.
That kind of regimen for an old guy like me is enough.
So we'll all sleep really well after this.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
No question.
I'm curious as to what you guys are thinking about this whole Elon Musk Navarro thing. I have some thoughts on it. Now, Elon and Peter Navarro are going back and forth on Twitter or whatever the fuck you call it now. Clearly, Elon isn't a big fan of the tariffs because it's killing him in the stock market. He's losing billions of dollars every day. And Pete Navarro is that one guy you grew up with. You kind of liked him, but you gave him nothing but shit all day. He was kind of the Ziggy character of your friend group. That's who this clown is. That's who this clown is. And they're going back and forth with tariffs. I think it's an interesting break in what's going on with Donald Trump and his whole crew, because if Donald Trump is taking his guidance from Peter Navarro on the tariffs, which he is, and
Right.
and Peter Navarro is a dipshit, and Elon Musk thinks he's a dipshit, we could see some problems here pretty soon. How long before Elon says Donald Trump is a dipshit? This could be the breaking of the bromance we've been watching.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long it's going to take. I mean, it's obvious that Elon has some dirt on Donald Trump. I mean, that's for sure. So, I don't know. I mean, I thought Musk already went off the reservation when the Tesla stock crashed, but I think he keeps going off the cliff even further because the tariffs, it was real funny. This morning, all the Trump-la-fucks were, oh yeah, the market's coming back. And it was only like an hour later. And the whole thing went to shit.
Yeah, I found that funny when they'd say, "We're coming back. We got 1,000 points." Yeah, but since last week you went down 6,000 points. So,
Right.
yeah, you got to kind of temper the positivity here. It's
Well,
not good for anybody.
math isn't their strong suit, so let's just remember that.
No,
Just because the
no.
market comes back does not mean your 401k or any of your
Fuck
investments
no.
are coming back. It's going to take, like, TJ and I have a really good chance that we will not recover. And we're, like, I'm 50. So,
I got blasted, man. I really did.
Yeah. I haven't even really looked at mine. Mine is
Don't.
the way I look at it. Well, my 401k isn't for my wife and I. It's just there. It's going to be left to my kids when we're done, dead. And I figure even if it does go down, I don't have time to have it come back, but my kids do. So let them
Right.
fucking worry about it
Sure.
at this point. We don't have a lot of money in the market, so
Right.
I'm fine with that. The thing about it is that these Republicans now seem to be desperate to get something to hold on to. I mean, all these years they've always had these gray areas where they could say, "Well, this happened," even though it didn't happen.
Right.
But now it's pretty stark. It's pretty stark. All you have to do is look at the stock market. All you have to do is look at people's 401ks. You can try to divert, you can try to distract, but it's just not going to work right now. And you can see Republican congressmen are starting to freak out too.
Well, probably because their offices are getting flooded with the most ridiculous amount of calls ever. I mean, there's got to be Republicans that are looking at their portfolio and going, "What the fuck?" and calling their congressperson.
well, there's certainly a lot of them crying on Facebook and different social media.
Yeah, it's I'm going to tell you what I think is going to happen. Elon's going to keep pounding on Navarro. Donald Trump is going to. I at first thought that he was going to throw Elon under the bus, and he may do that. But when he finally comes to the realization that this tariff thing is a dumb fucking idea, he's
Right.
going to throw Navarro under the bus. This
Oh, for
poor
sure.
fucker's been in jail. He's getting his ass kicked every time he turns around. And when it's all said and done, Donald Trump will say, "Yeah, tariffs suck, and so does Navarro."
Right. Well, birds of a feather stick together, so felons unite, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that I was watching Lawrence O'Donnell before I came on. One of the few things I actually watch on mainstream media, and he made a point. He said, "Look, Elon Musk says Navarro is a moron.
Right.
Donald Trump says Elon is a genius. Donald Trump is taking his tariff direction from Navarro.
Right.
How much farther could be away from Elon Musk saying that Donald Trump is a moron?" And you got to know that Donald Trump's probably thinking about that. He's always concerned about his image and the perception of him.
Oh, he's not thinking about it. He doesn't have enough foresight to see that. he's that stupid. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you're probably right about it. I'm going to pull somebody up here because no doubt people have some shit to talk about. Let's pull up Kevin. It looks like if he's ready to talk. Let's see.
I don't
Let's
think
keep
Kevin's
our
ready
fingers.
to talk. Oh, there he is.
There we go. Hey, Kevin, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How you doing tonight?
I'm not doing too bad. What's on your mind?
Oh, nothing. I'm sorry. This was by accident.
Oh, well, you're here now.
Yeah. Just
You got to have a thought on what's going on.
I have a lot of thoughts. It's hard to believe this is reality for me. I'm 65. I've seen a lot. This is hard to take in, and who knows where to start.
Kevin, are you retired?
Semi. I've had my own business for 30 years down in Florida, but it's a small transportation. We drive folks to the airport, and it's a family business. And
Oh, okay.
yeah,
That's
nothing.
cool.
Yeah, it's been good. It's been good.
So, what do you think about this thing with the market? Do you have money invested for your retirement?
No, no. Actually, moved it as soon as Trump got elected. This
Good.
isn't. This is not a surprise to me.
That's a good move.
Yeah, like I said, I wish I was wrong, but everything that I thought is coming to fruition, even more so than I ever imagined. The horror part.
Right.
It's
People always say to me, "You must love being able to say, I told you so," and I don't really like doing that. I'll be honest with you. I knew it was going to be bad with Donald Trump, no matter what, because he was an absolute idiot. I didn't think it'd be this bad this fast. So I'm a little surprised in that respect.
Right.
Kevin, I'm at the point now. You and I are the same age. I'm going to be 65 in about 10 days. So we're in the same frame. And while I'm retired, not really retired because I'm on fucking TikTok every goddamn day. Um, but when you get to this point, there was something that I don't know if it was Scott Bessent said, and I don't know if you heard this, but they were talking to him about people are getting ready to retire, and are they worried with what was going on in the stock market? And Scott Bessent said, "No, I don't think they're worried about some fluctuations in the stock market." Now, I'm not a stock guy, but these aren't fluctuations. This is a flat out crash. But I was really insulted by this billionaire trying to tell us, you and me, what we're thinking and what we're feeling as we watch the economic climate just crash. How are you feeling about that? It is surreal.
Yeah, it really is, and fluctuation is such a such a mild word for what we're encountering right now. Fluctuation. That's funny.
Call it what it is. It's a bullshit description.
You're right. Yeah, yeah.
It's kind of like being kind of pregnant. Or when I was a young man, and my grandfather, who smoked all his life, and he ended up getting emphysema. And I was asking him about his illness. He goes, "Well, I got a touch of emphysema. You don't get a touch of emphysema. This thing's going to kill you." And to suggest that these are fluctuations, it's just insulting to anybody who's just trying to get by. Coming from a fucking billionaire that doesn't have a thing to worry about. Kevin, what are you worried about right now? What's the thing that worries you most right at this moment?
Well, that's a good question, and I know with most people, the answer would be financially, but not so much with me. Um, what's been bothering me for quite some time now is the total lack of of our
Decency?
no, well, yeah, I'm trying to our foreign lack of any foreign
Yeah. You're
uh,
talking about international diplomacy
ex-
and the fact that we don't have any allies anymore, and that's a dangerous situation to be put into.
no, exactly. All our allies, and yeah, again, being 65, and remembering the Soviet Union like it was yesterday. This is really
Yeah.
scary stuff, and people not not realizing the importance of having allies, and actually the importance of of what's going on with Russia, and the I don't know. I've seen all these young folks be taken in by the right wing propaganda, and
Right.
it's been really hard to watch, and really hard to listen to them too when you try to have conversations with some of these people that got sucked in by this right wing machine, these Joe Rogan podcasters, and selling this phony masculinity to these young kids, telling them what it takes to be a real man, and to be hearing this bullshit
Yeah.
It's been driving me up a wall for quite some time. So when you ask that question, it's more about what happened with the classified information on the what was happening about a week ago when that classified information was sent out to the journalist. The hypocrisy of the people on the right is mind-boggling. Because they'll defend it. They don't hold anybody accountable. The soldiers that unfortunately were unalived this a couple of days ago, and I mean I forgot where this happened.
The dignified transition or transfer.
Yeah, and he's on the golf course now. Joe Biden, they were all over him because he looked at his watch when some of these servicemen were returned. I don't know if you remember that, but it happened.
I do.
I remember like yesterday. I remember Obama catching hell for wearing a beige suit. I remember this all like yesterday. and their hypocrisy just I can't take it. I can't take it.
Well, Kevin, there's something else I'm worried about too, and I think maybe you can relate to this. You and I are 65 years old. We've been around for a while. We've gone through some shit. We've made it through some shit. At this moment in time, I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about my kids. I'm worried about my grandkids, and I'm worried about those people that aren't as fortunate as I am or trying to raise kids right now. I mean, I could sit back and I'll probably be fine before I die, whenever that comes. But I just feel horrible at the prospect of leaving this country to the younger people, my family, my kids, my grandkids, in just a total mess. There's got to be something done to fix this situation and at least get us back on track.
I agree. I agree. Yeah. That's what all that's on my mind. I'll be whatever happens. I had a good life, but man, well, we're leaving these younger folks. I'm really disappointed. I feel responsible. I feel a bit responsible for leaving, as if we didn't do our job. I didn't do my job properly. If this is what I'm leaving for my grandchildren.
Well, Kevin, did you vote for Donald Trump?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't hold yourself too accountable. You did the right thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this, Kevin. I think as a collective, as a group of people, we did fail. And it doesn't have anything to do with voting for Donald Trump or voting for Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. For decades, where we failed in this country, all age groups, all race groups, is we've been apathetic. We just sat back on our laurels and let the government do whatever they want. And eventually it got to a point where you got the wrong guy in office and everything went to shit. I think if we'd have been engaged as we are now 40 years ago, we'd be in a much different situation. So at that point, I think that's where we are at fault, and we have to accept that. We got fat and lazy, and we just assumed everything would be good, and obviously that wasn't the case.
That's very true. I use that same term. We got fat and lazy, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing is, and this is what was so frustrating, because Biden had a good economy. That's just a fact. He had a good economy, and I lived through some pretty bad economies. Like I remember Jimmy Carter in the 70s when we had to get gas up on odd and even days, and gas was really expensive, and things were pretty rough. But the point of it is that whether it be Carter or whether it be Bush, I could always live through a bad presidency, but I cannot live through an evil one. None of us can.
Right.
And that's the difference. I didn't mind a Republican now and then a Democrat after and then a Republican again. And, as long as everybody, was sane.
Right.
That's not the case. That's just not the case.
Back when everybody lived on planet Earth, unlike today.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't remember a time in my life that I ever once there was a president that I did not say that I would say this is not my president. You know, even when they were bad, they were never this bad. Never even close to this. And that, like that, I always thought that a president's elected, and when the president's elected, you stand behind the fact that he's the president of the United States, and even if he does things that you don't agree with, he's still the president.
Right.
Now you can't say that anymore. You can't.
Yeah, this isn't about a bad presidency. We've gone through bad presidencies, the likes of Nixon and some other people, but nothing like this. This is a combination of ignorance, arrogance, and evil. And that's something we haven't seen a combination of. Kevin, thank you for joining us on the show. I appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. I gave you a follow, and I'll be. I will be.
Well, thank you.
Guys. It's been a pleasure being here with you.
Hey, Kevin.
Yes.
Make sure you check out the Rational Boomer podcast on YouTube or Spotify.
I will do that. Thank you.
Okay, super.
And actually, Kevin, this live will be tomorrow's podcast. So we'll go about an hour and a half here, and this will be the podcast. But I've done other ones with different things and guests on the show. By all means, check it out on YouTube or Spotify. Audio is Spotify, video is YouTube. But we're there every day. We have a podcast every day. So by all means, check it out.
I'm glad I found you. Thank you.
I'm glad you found us. Thank you. That is Kevin, a newbie of sorts. I wasn't expecting that, but
We'll take that kind of mistake anytime.
Yeah, absolutely. But he makes a good point. We've all gone through bad presidents, but nothing like this. I mean, the failures just keep coming, and it seems like we're the only ones paying the price. He keeps getting to do whatever he wants to do. The Supreme Court or Congress just backs him no matter what he does, even though these people know better. That's the most disgusting thing. We are starting to see some Republicans kind of turn here, and we might be at that pivot point where Donald Trump has just gone too far. It might take a little time to get everybody to turn, but I think we're headed in that direction. Okay, let's see here.
All right. I gotta block this motherfucker.
Yeah, I blocked a few, but there's so many ambiguous comments tonight. Like,
yeah, I know.
Can't tell which direction they're going.
Yeah, I got one on the request for being a guest. One is I'm a Patriot 55. That's a little worrisome.
Yeah.
Part of me wants me to put him.
Yeah, roll the dice. What's the worst thing that can happen? We kick him out.
I'll kick his ass first, and then we'll kick him out. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they are in fact a real patriot. I'm a patriot. You're on right now. What's up with you tonight?
Can you hear me, Boomer?
I can hear you.
Well, thank you very much for letting me into your life.
Let me ask you a question first.
Yes, sir.
A question that I ask everybody when I'm out in the wild, and somebody just by happenstance recognizes me. They'll say, "Oh, you're a Rational Boomer." First question I always ask is, "Are you a friend or a foe?" Because I got a bunch of both.
I'm a friend, Boomer, to every human on the planet.
Thank you. Well, when your name is "I'm a Patriot," you can understand how it's a little questionable there, given what we know about people claiming to be patriots.
Well, unfortunately, they've kind of stolen our flag, haven't they?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So I totally understand the question, and I did want to compliment you. Your sensibility, your ability to simplify very complex problems and the use of a few expletives kind of get people's attention rather quickly.
Well, some people give me a lot of credit for simplifying things, but you have to understand why I do that, because I'm a simple-minded motherfucker, and I got to figure it out myself, so I have to boil it down to simple terms. And the fact that it resonates with some other folks, I'm honored to be somebody that can help somebody out. So by all means, now you say I'm a Patriot 55. Are you 55 years old?
I was born in 1955.
Oh, so you're 5 years older than I am. So
Yes,
you're
sir.
70. You're 70. You've
69.
seen some shit too.
Yes, I think we all have. I
Yeah.
think we all have. And with regard to your last comment, Boomer, I would tell you that, and back to the compliment I paid you, as life gets more complex, we got to find a way to be a little simpler.
Oh
Sometimes
yeah,
taking
I agree.
all this stuff coming at us really boils down to, and you said it earlier, and one of your other panelists, I forgot who said it. My grandson asked me why I had such a problem with Donald Trump a couple
Hmm.
years ago. And I told him quite simply, to a 7-year-old, the man lies too much. So if at any point
Fair
in time
enough.
we got to get to the point where we have to start simplifying things and understand the direction we want to take and what we want to do, we got to simplify things. And another of your panelists said earlier, he's not my president. First time in my life. And I remember as a little
Yeah.
boy, my mother crying when JFK got shot.
Yeah.
And every president since has been my president,
Hmm.
except this one. And I'll try to
It's hard
simplify
to,
my perspective by saying he has created too much pain for too many good people, period.
I think it's
agree.
really hard for a lot of Americans to not have a sense of national pride.
Yes,
I know it's hard for
exactly.
me.
Yeah, well, Donald Trump stripped that away from us, like co-opting things that we respected for years and years and years.
Yep.
Well,
Well,
I've just met 3 individuals who are complete strangers to me, but I respect you. He's not in my head. He's
oh,
not ripped my dignity from me. He's not ripped my politeness, my perspective, my patriotism. I don't let him in my head. I
Right.
spent
no,
43 years
no.
in corporate America. I understand how to problem solve and manage by fact and listen with empathy and treat people with dignity and respect. I don't fear him. I seek to understand, but I don't fear him at all. None of us should fear him.
Absolutely.
Right. And I agree with you. And it's great that people are strong like you and I and Mike and Rebecca, but there's a lot of people that get hurt real easily and they're terrified of what's happening. And I can see from their perspective why, you know, the uncertainty of the future. Like I'll just, if I get knocked down, I just dust myself off and say fuck it, and I get back up and I keep going. But some people just don't have the fortitude to do that, and so they're terrified. And I get it. Like that's a tough thing to deal with amongst the stress in your life that you already have trying to make ends meet half the time.
Amidst chaos is a great deal of opportunity, folks. And I think you said
Yeah.
it earlier on a podcast, Boomer, where you said, I want to credit you with this, but you may not have said it. But
If it's
once
good,
we,
I said it.
but folks, when we get past this man, and we're going to get past him, and if you want to ask me my opinion as to how and why, but when we get past this man and this crazy cabinet, the real work starts, in my opinion. We have
Oh,
got to
absolutely.
recognize how we got in this situation, the needed improvements in our political structure, in our community, in our faith building, and probably most of all, how it is we manage the characteristics associated with integrity, honesty, and treating people with dignity and respect. We've lost it, and I believe it takes all of this darkness to recreate the energy
It,
to fix this thing. And I'm
I
excited
would
about the future in that regard at age
I wouldn't
69.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't even call it work. I'd call it complete reconstruction. That's how bad it is.
Which may be a
Complete
good thing in this
reconstruction,
country.
perhaps, complete reconstruction, perhaps, and I hear you, but there are a great many elements of our current structure. I still believe, the greatest country on the face of the earth. Once we come out of this to show people that we were able to, we will still be the greatest country on the face of the earth. So I don't
I
want to say
agree.
it's totally broken. I want to say we're going to recognize what needs to be fixed. We're going to use our foundation and our history and our smarts and our faith in community and good people, and we're going to move forward and fix it. But to me, it's not completely broken.
Well,
No, it's not
we at
completely
least
broken.
have the blueprint of how it does work, how it's supposed to work. We've been there when it has worked. So
Well,
Exactly.
the thing about it is, I agree with what you say. what I've come to realize is that after doing this for 4 years and telling people what I know based on my experience with people just like Donald Trump, and nobody really, well, I won't say nobody, but not enough people listening to it, I come to the realization that in order for this to culminate, it has to crash hard. It has to be disastrous. And I hate to say that, but that's what it's going to take for people to wake up. I have a feeling if Kamala won, and that's what I would have preferred happen, but if she had won, MAGA would still be there bouncing around causing the same problems. When this is all said and done, MAGA will be done because it will be an absolute disaster. And for me, the quicker we get the disaster means the quicker we can start coming back.
And Boomer, you're exactly right. It's always good to know where the rats and the roaches are. So when you move forward to rebuild, you know exactly what you got to do and why and when.
Right.
You know, one of the things that, people always, one of the things I've learned in my life is that the more you can keep emotions out of things like this, I mean, emotions have their spot, obviously, but you got to be able to control your emotions as opposed to emotions controlling you. And that's what I run into a lot here. People are terrified, people are upset, people are scared, and justifiably so. But that doesn't get you anywhere. You got to stay focused. And this is what I tell people, and you maybe can relate to this. They say, how can you not be nervous? How can you not be terrified of this stuff? And I said, well, I'm 65 years old. I've gone through every trial, tribulation, and tragedy a human can go through. And guess what? I'm still here. So if I can get through all this stuff, I will get through this. We will all get through this. And I'm not going to waste my time wringing my hands and clutching my pearls, waiting to die, because that's not going to happen.
That's why I follow you, Boomer. Exactly why. We need community. We need a shared spirit. And with regard to your comment about when it crashes and burns, because I do believe that it will, I just have one hope inside of that perspective. And my hope is that it crashes and burns within the framework of our Constitution and our judicial system and our congressional powers.
Yeah.
Because when it happens in that framework, it'll be understandable to us and to the world. And from that foundation of change, we can move forward. So it has to happen within that framework for it to be viewed as good change, necessary change, in spite of who it hurts and who it helps.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I'm a patriot. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate the compliments and I appreciate you following. And it's nice to know I have another old guy out there of a like mind. So thank you very much.
You're very welcome, sir. And thank you for doing this, and for the folks that are on your panel. We all need hope. We all need support. We all need community. And I got to tell you, there were times in my life where I questioned social media. But today I see the elements of progress and progress based in things like good character and honesty. And it's because of people like you that I see that. So thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. Social media is like anything else, though. We have our fuck ups out there too that you don't want to listen to. And whoever thought that somebody just being honest and being an old guy would ever garner an audience? But I'm thankful that we have at this point. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Take good care, folks.
You too.
Have a good night.
You know, it's great to hear from a similarly older person like me. A lot of people in this country want to say all boomers are bad, all boomers are selfish, all boomers are Trumplafucks, and I beg to differ. You know, I have a fairly large following on TikTok, and many of them are boomers. It's not everybody.
Right.
It's a certain faction of people that aren't the brightest people or have horrible lives in their own right, and they want to strike out against somebody. So when somebody like that comes along, I love to hear that. I love to hear the young people too, but him especially.
We're 2 for 2 tonight.
2 for 2, and I was taking a shot on that one because he says I'm a patriot, and I'm going, oh, this. And you know what? I was a little, as much as I loved talking to that guy, I was a little saddened that he wasn't a Trumplafuck. I need to get some shit out. Anyway, let's
be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, no shit.
One thing I will say, that he said that that there's some good that's coming from this, and I will say that I feel like we have made a really good community, particularly here, and that I feel like TJ and I have made some people that will probably be friends for life from,
Absolutely.
from this,
Absolutely.
and which is great.
And I always heard people before I started doing this saying, "Oh, I met some good friends on social media," and I go, "I've never, there's some people I know from my past life that I saw on Facebook or whatever. I never imagined having any kind of friend connection with anybody on social media because it's so separated. But the likes of you and TJ and Eric and Old Soul. There's a lot of people. I don't hang around a lot of friends in my real life because I got my
Right.
wife, I got my kids, my grandkids. So this is the main friend group I have, and I'm thankful for that because we got a lot of good people out there.
Well,
And a lot of
what
a
else,
lot of people
Mike?
that don't think I'm a dipshit. So I appreciate that.
And you know what? The unfortunate reality is we've had to eliminate some friends in real life, in our regular life, I guess,
Yeah,
because of their dispositions and their ideologies. And that's sad that it
yeah,
has to come to that, but we just can't. I can't deal with racism. I can't deal with hatred. We just can't be. We can't be around those kinds of people anymore. And Donald Trump's ignited a fuse that is a bridge too far for us.
yeah. Absolutely. I'm going to pull somebody else up here. This is a woman by the name of Rescued Ruthie. We'll see if she pops up here. Hey, Rescued Ruthie, how you doing today?
Hi there, I'm fine, thank you.
Great,
Good.
great. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm from Ontario, Canada. I watch your.
Congratulations.
Oh, I
I'd rather
live
be in Ontario.
I live 3 minutes from the bridge to the U.S.
Oh,
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 you're
okay.
you're a
Yeah.
neighbor.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you mean you live really close, but I'm right on the border to Port Huron, the Blue Water Bridge in Michigan. So, yeah, I'm used to crossing the border like as if I was just going down the street. Like it was just I've got my nails done over there. I go shopping. I have friends, and now get more and more nervous all the time. Like maybe I should not cross because there's so many warnings about.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Well, what is the attitude with Canadians now coming into America? I mean, there are some countries that have travel advisories even
yeah.
coming to America. How are you feeling as a Canadian when you come into the United States?
Well, my experience, I was there about a week and a half ago, and that both the last times I've been there, it was so easy. Like they were so nice. And I even
Yeah.
asked one guy once I realized how chill he was. I even asked, I said, "Is there any problem? Like, are we okay coming over here?" And he's like, "Oh, yes, you're fine. You are fine. The only time you'd have a problem is if you kept staying over here and almost never going home, or you're going to stay more, you're a snowbird." He's like, "Otherwise, you're fine." So I don't
Or,
know. But last time I
or if,
left my phone at home. I left my phone at
or,
home last time. I was too scared.
of course, it helps that you're not brown too. So that's
True.
something.
Right.
I
True,
was worried
true.
about my wife coming back from Mexico. She was in Mexico for a while. She had to come across the border, and I thought, well, is she gonna have trouble? And I thought, nah, she's an old white woman, so no, that's not gonna happen. Um,
Yeah.
how you feeling about the new leadership in Canada? This Carney guy,
Confused. Like I don't
really?
even know. I'm so confused. I mean, I don't think I followed politics probably as much as I should. And I've followed it more since all of the drama in the US has kind of got me paying closer attention, but I've kind of leaned towards the liberal government being safer. I'm scared that Pierre would be too much like Trump, or there's some connection. I'm terrified about what's happening in the US, and I'm afraid of what's happening here.
Yeah, I've heard some things about Pierre. Doesn't sound promising. The one thing I think, though, I think people think that if Pierre got in, and he's a Trump kind of guy, that he and Trump would be buddies. You have to understand that people like those two don't have buddies. They have partners in crime, but they're only for a period of time. When you've got, we're seeing it with Elon Musk now, when you've got two megalomaniacs, two narcissists, they can't coexist. Chances are Donald Trump would probably have an argument with Pierre because he'd make some demand and Pierre wouldn't back down and Pierre would say some shit, and it might get worse if Pierre was the leader of the country. So let's hope that doesn't happen.
Well, did you see when Trump said, see, I don't know if you see all the same things. There's so much. Trump said, oh, he's no friend of mine, because people were thinking that they were connected, and Trump came out and said, he's no friend of mine. But then everybody was thinking that that was kind of a setup, so to speak, that that was just said so that he could get in, like that people wouldn't be suspicious. So I don't know, but I know watching him answer questions, I've watched Pierre answer the question, how many genders are there? And he straight up two, and, gave a real snotty kind of a response.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's really, kind of gives me an uneasy feeling. All of his questions about that type of thing, they're all very similar to Trump. Yeah.
I don't know much about what's going on in Canada, but from what I've heard, we have a couple people that come on regularly that are Canadian or keep track of what's going on in Canada. It doesn't sound like his party's doing real well, given all the things going on. So it doesn't sound like he's a risk of becoming the prime minister.
Yeah, I think at first, I think maybe there was a little bit more, but because of what's happening in the U.S., people have really, because people are not finding this funny at all. Like, this was not cool. The threats and the disrespect. And I was going to say, kind of change the subject a little bit, but
Sure.
So have people really lost? Like, can you give me an idea? Are people losing, I don't know, 20, 30% of their portfolios? Like, is that?
Ask TJ.
Uh-oh.
TJ lost a bunch on his 401k, right, TJ?
I lost $35,000 in like 7 weeks.
Oh,
$35,000 in like 7 weeks.
oh, was it over gradual, or was it this last few days where it just crashed down?
It started a little bit before that. I lost a little bit, and then I don't know. It was like 2 weeks ago. I took a big hit, and then I just took another big hit. So it's not good.
So when Donald Trump came in, and since Donald Trump has been president, we've lost 11 trillion, maybe 12 trillion dollars in the stock market. There's a lot of people who lost, and it's not just the small folks, these big oligarchs that have money involved, and they're starting to kick back now too and turn on Donald Trump. This is what's going to happen when you start stealing people's money. People are going to fucking hate you.
Rescued, let me put it to you this way. I had 46 months straight of uninterrupted growth in my retirement annuity, my 401k. 46 months. As soon as Donald Trump came into office and he did all this bullshit with the trade wars, I lost everything I gained since 2021. Everything.
Wow.
Oh. Yeah, I mean, I will say we call it RSP here. Mine is, I'm 52, and I've been contributing to that since I was 19 years old. And mine isn't down 20% or anything like that, but it did take an awful fall. I haven't looked at it the last 2 days, but right that time where everybody, like that, where it really dropped, oh yeah, I got some money missing, that's for sure. It does make me nervous, like, are we ever going to recover in my lifetime? I would hope, but
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, how is Canada reacting? Does the stock market here have much impact on Canada, and with tariffs and all this stuff? How concerned are people about the economics of your country?
Well, a lot of us have money. I don't know. I'm not an expert with trading. I have a financial advisor that does it for me, but all I know is like we have mutual funds and stuff that are consist of American companies. Like they could be anywhere, right? But we do a lot of a lot of mine is invested in U.S. companies,
Right.
but it is a mix. And I'm assuming that's probably what a lot of other people do as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people are concerned. I think people are concerned. It's like anywhere. Some people are really concerned, and some people are clueless. They're still walking around the grocery store just buying whatever they want. They're not even thinking. And I'm out with my phone scanning the products to make sure that they're Canadian. And some people are just walking around, just not. Some people don't worry about anything. They just, I don't know. They don't even know what's going on. I don't know.
That's the same here, honestly, with some people.
Yeah, but
I know.
at the same time, we got on April 5th, we got 5 million people out protesting all across the country. Hundreds of crowds of 100,000 people in a number of places, including D.C. and Chicago and maybe New York. We got a big crowd here in Minnesota. People are upset. People don't go out and protest in the cold for nothing. I mean, we've been apathetic for so many years. It's good to see people get up and get out on the streets and complain. And there's another big protest happening on April 19th. So we've got to keep the momentum going and keep the agitation going. And it doesn't look like Donald Trump's getting any positive remarks, at least from normal people.
Right.
Yeah, I think I deal with what I do for work. Like I'm self-employed, and I deal mostly with farmers. So I get to talk to farmers, and it's pretty much all the same. Like nobody knows like what's going to happen with the tariffs. Are they going to is he going to take them off? And everybody just shakes their head. There's just a lot of just shake their head like cannot believe it.
Right.
So
Well, the important thing is even if he rolls them back tomorrow, even if he does that, a lot of damage has been done. It's not going to come back to where it was. Given that the tariffs have devastated and the cuts have devastated the farmers here, does that give your farmers better opportunity? Because the people would normally come here might now come to Canada for their farming.
Oh, I am not an expert, or probably not qualified to really answer that question, but I do believe that because of, exports and, I mean, they all listen to the markets, like the market is the market, right? Like, I don't know how it all works, but I think they would have similar concerns to the farmers in the U.S.
Okay.
Although the U.S., I mean, farmers probably have a few more concerns, I suppose. Like I know they were concerned about the tariffs on the potash and having to pay so much more. I don't know how it all works, but the farmers they're concerned.
They're concerned.
Maybe not to the
Okay.
level. Yeah, it's kind of this. I think it's the same. Maybe not quite as bad, but I think they're, all the same.
I think everybody's nervous with all that's going on. Donald Trump is affecting the entire world, and it's going to affect everybody. Ruthie, thank you for coming on. I just have a quick question for you, maybe a personal question. If you don't want to answer it, don't answer it. Your handle is Rescued Ruthie. What were you rescued from?
Oh, well, I'm the rescuer. I run an animal rescue organization.
Oh, good.
On the side.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
great.
We do TNR. We trap, neuter, return barn cats, like for farms on the streets. We fix them and put a lot of them back. Some of them get adopted. So there you go.
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
That's one of the things great about doing this. I meet a lot of great people, and I'm a big animal fan. I tell people I like all dogs better than most people, and that is absolutely true. There isn't a dog I don't like. There's a lot of people I don't like. So, well, Ruthie, thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. That's why I like doing this because we get to meet a lot of cool people. Like I'm a Patriot, like Ruthie, and like so many of the other ones. I have one guy that's been. I'll see if he's still there. He's been bugging me to get on, and I don't see him now. I do not see him now. He said he was a MAGA whisperer.
What
Maybe
the
I
heck is
missed.
that?
Maybe
I went onto the profile and he or she said that they are not MAGA. They definitely are not. All their stuff is
no.
anti-Trump. Everything.
No, I'm pretty sure he's not MAGA, but he hasn't requested to be on that I can see. Um, yeah, whatever. If you are the MAGA whisperer and you want to come on, request to come on, and I keep looking through here, and we will put you on. Anyway, here's somebody that we have on frequently, and it's always a good guest to have on. It's Oliver's mom.
Hey everybody.
Oliver, hey, how you doing? What's up
Good.
with you tonight?
Yeah, I was watching the stock market today. Just it went up, and then I'm like, it's gonna go down. It's gonna be in the negative before 4 o'clock. And I was right. It's just crazy. I think after things go into effect tonight, and he doesn't negotiate with the 50 countries that he says he's negotiating with, we might see a bad day tomorrow. Also,
Oh yeah, definitely. I
Probably.
mean, especially since Donald Trump is at a core a bully, and what he's doing with these tariffs is a bullying tactic. You do what I want you to do. You make us better off somehow, or I'm going to put a tariff on you.
Right.
The
exactly.
only way to combat a bully is to not get sucked into the threat. Probably the biggest issue in all of these tariffs, believe it or not, is China. And he put a tariff on China. China says, okay, we're putting a tariff on you for 34%. Donald Trump says, well, if you don't take it off, even though we put a tariff on you, if you retaliate, we're going to put one of 50% on you. So coming up here momentarily, there's going to be a tariff on everything coming from China, or most things coming from China, of 104%.
Yeah.
But China is not backing down. But can you imagine, with all the things that come to this country from China, whether it be a Walmart, whether it be buying soybeans or whatever the fuck, that one trade war is going to be terrible on this country.
Oh, definitely. And I'm curious. I heard someone mention the term a circuit breaker. That once the market drops to a certain point, that it's considered a circuit breaker, and it will cause a stop in the market. The market will basically shut down. And I'm just curious to what that is in our country. I know another country has already had that happen, I believe yesterday.
Japan, yeah, it was Japan. What that means basically, and I'm not a stock guy, I don't know a lot about it, but as I understand it is when things are dropping and the bottom's falling out, they just stop trading
Exactly.
because they
Yeah.
know it's going to get bad. They just stop everything, which is not a good thing either.
I
No.
think it might have done it once during the pandemic, and I know it happened around 9/11 that they actually stopped because things were going down so bad.
Well, and the thing about it is the losses and the stock problems that we're having now have exceeded what happened during COVID, and that went over a couple of years. So we're in dire straits right now. There's no question about it.
Exactly. I mean, the tariffs are crazy. I mean, he says he's doing it so that we'll start making more things in this country, but I really don't think he understands how long it takes for a manufacturing facility to come online to be able to make some of this stuff. And, are we really going to want to put a factory together that makes socks and t-shirts? You know,
Yeah. Well,
it,
here's the thing. Even if they were right and manufacturing came back tomorrow, which it can't because it's going to take years and years and years
Yep.
to do that. Even if it came back tomorrow, by virtue of it being made here, the prices will be higher than if they were made in China. That's why they go to China, because they can do it there cheaper. If you bring it back here, that's well and good, but it's going to be more expensive. So what he said about lowering prices is absolutely ridiculous. He's not going to lower prices. Everything he's doing is going to increase prices.
yes, it is. And the formula that they used to figure out the percentage of tariffs that they were going to put on these countries was just ridiculous. I mean, they weren't looking at, oh, this country has a 15% tariff on us, so we're going to put a reciprocal 15% on them. It had to be this, difference between what we import and what they send us and what we send them and all that. I mean, and the percentage of that. I mean,
It was based on the
it's
trade
crazy.
deficit
Yeah, the
between the
trade
two.
deficit.
Right.
Yes.
And,
Donald
that's
Trump
crazy.
said they had tariffs on us, but it wasn't tariffs on us. It was a trade deficit. This dumb motherfucker doesn't even know what he's talking about.
Right.
And then he puts a 10% tariff on the islands that have nothing but penguins on them. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, those penguins got to pay. What the fuck?
well, it's obvious. It's obvious that whoever put that chart together for him and gave him all of that information doesn't know what they're talking about.
Right. Definitely not.
Yeah, it's absolutely, it's frustrating. And I would bet that at some point Donald Trump is going to back out of this, or at least try to. He's talking about negotiating with people and cutting better deals. We got 70 countries. Just negotiating the NAFTA deal and changing it to the AMCA or whatever it is now, that took 2 years. What are we supposed to do for 2 years? People are supposed to starve. People are supposed to be out of work for 2 years. There was no thought process to this whole thing. It was just Donald Trump being emotional and reactionary and pulling shit out of his ass. That's all he's doing.
Yeah,
Right.
and I saw a gentleman talking. I believe it was today about his business and how he gets most of his product from China, and it's things like air fryers and toasters and all kinds
Right.
of different small home appliances. And, his whole business is at risk. And another gentleman was talking about his furniture business, where he gets most of his furniture from China. And his lease is up in August, and he's just closing out his business because he's not
Yeah.
going to be able to charge what he will need to charge to, stay afloat and stay ahead.
Yeah, and to think that companies are going to just eat the difference, that's just not going to happen. It's going to be transferred down to you. I mean, if you shop at Walmart, it's going to impact you mightily because how much shit comes from China into Walmart? It's cheap at Walmart because it comes from fucking China or other countries. I don't think some of the poorer people in this country are going to take the biggest hit.
That's true. And, I'm going to be one of them because, I live on my fixed income from Social Security disability. And
Right.
I've tried to go back to work part time a couple of times. I know people in my family, my uncle's 7 years older than I am. We were real close in age growing up. And he's retired now with Social Security, but he has 3 part time jobs that he
Yeah.
works to try to make ends meet.
Yeah. That's the most difficult thing I hear when I'm on TikTok or the podcast is the people that come in and their livelihood is on the line and they're terrified and justifiably so. That's the one thing that bothers me and angers me about Donald Trump. Over and above all the crazy bullshit that he's done, it's the amount of stress and terror he's inflicted on everybody in this country. That is just unconscionable, and he needs to be held accountable for it too. What he's done to this country between divisiveness and making life in this country worse for a lot of people who are having a tough time anyway, it's fucking annoying.
Yeah,
It's
it definitely
angering.
is. And he did have a couple of Supreme Court rulings go his way somewhat today, and
Yeah.
that's not good. I mean, the one was had to do with, oh, come on, I know the term I want to use, had to do with being
Well,
able to ship out the immigrants, Aliens Enemies Act,
yeah.
and
But there were some caveats to that too. They did say you got to give them due process in order to do that, which puts a little bit of a chink in Donald Trump's armor. The other one was because the situation with the guy that was sent to El Salvador, who was sent there mistakenly, and all the judges said, you got to bring them back tomorrow, you got to bring them back yesterday, or whatever it was. And then it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court put a pause on it. That doesn't
Yes.
mean they're going to agree with Donald Trump. I heard somebody's take on this, and nobody in particular, so I can only take it for what it's worth. But because the idea of not bringing this guy back is so contrary to the Constitution, what they're supposing is that Roberts wants to put a pause on it so he can get everybody online to vote against Donald Trump on this, to send a message. I mean, the Supreme Court's at a point now where they could be losing their power if they keep bending to Donald Trump, and they've got to know this. I don't know if that's what's going to happen, but God, I hope it is.
That would be nice. I mean, somebody has to send them a message.
Right.
And,
Yeah.
if that's the one that they're going to stand their ground on, it's good to take that stand.
Right.
Well, it's not a hard stand to take. I mean, your Constitution guarantees you due process. There was no due process here. So it's logical you bring them back and give them the due process. It shouldn't even be up for debate. It's pretty clear in the Constitution.
Yeah, and he was picked to be a part of that group based on the fact that he had tattoos.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's going to be the basis for sending someone or deporting someone, there are a lot of people out there that have tattoos.
I get. I'm
TJ and I are going to be in
I'm
serious
fucked.
trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm fucked.
When they start deporting old white guys with attitudes, I'm done too. It's
Yeah, I know.
People always say, you say so much stuff about Donald Trump. Are you worried? I'm not fucking worried about these people. I'm about as old and white as you can be in this country. I'm the one that should be fighting because the marginalized people don't have as much flexibility as I do. I mean, I can say shit and they can either say, oh, he's just some old guy ranting, but he's white, so we got to leave him alone. Given that privilege I have, that white privilege that I have, I need to do what I have to do to use it for good. And I just do what I know how to do, and that's talk my ass off. So Oliver's mom, as you said, you're on a fixed income. What's your overall feeling right now, given all that's going on? Are you incredibly nervous, or do you have any hope?
I think the biggest thing I'm nervous about right now is them messing with the Social Security Administration and, possibly not getting a check because of that. Now, this month I got mine. I'm in good shape this month. But to me, it's scary month to month whether or not they're going to do something messing with that system that's going to cause me not to get a check. And,
Yeah.
I support myself and my son,
Right.
who is also disabled. We're trying to get him Social Security disability also, and you can't get through to anybody anymore. I mean, I have a lawyer with me, but they can't get through to anyone.
Right.
We're to the point where we're waiting for a hearing, which is usually the point at which someone does get approved, because you can give them more one-on-one information at that point.
Yeah.
But
Right.
that's what we're waiting for right now. So right now, I'm supporting the both of us on my check.
It was kind of heartening to see in these protests a lot of old people out there, because they're getting the message about Social Security and they're nervous about it. I got to tell you, I'm fortunate. I get Social Security. I'm going to get one this week, and my attitude is, even if I didn't get it, I'd survive. I'd be pissed and it would be tight. But if there's any interruption into this stuff, I feel like walking down the street looking for any Trumplefuck just to go nuts on. I'm going to have an attitude, because
Yeah.
that is the bridge too far.
Yeah.
Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, that's too far.
Exactly. And I'm worried about prices going up, because I've done a lot of things over the past several months to try to increase the money that I have in my pocket. I
Yeah.
have a small storage unit, and I changed locations because I was able to drop it by 2/3. So I went from, believe it or not, $210 a month down to about $70 a month. So I
that makes a
saved money
difference.
there. I lowered my auto insurance, which gave me about $150 because when I moved down here to Florida, my premium was very high. And
Yeah.
after being down here for a couple of years, I was able to lower it and get with a company that lowered it even more. Um, and I was able to find a Medicare supplement plan that actually is going to give me some money back into my Social Security check because
Wow.
of some of the things that I have diabetes and I have some heart concerns. So this particular plan gives me money back so that their theory is people with those type of concerns tend to spend more on copays to go to the doctors. They want to eat better food and things like that, so they're going to have more expenses along those lines. So by
Right.
signing up for this special program, I was able to get money back that way too. And I'm just afraid that all those gains that I have made by doing all that is just going to, go away with the increase of stuff because the
Well,
prices of stuff.
you make a good point because by virtue of Donald Trump raising prices, he essentially indirectly cuts your Social Security money because
Exactly.
your money doesn't go as
Mm-hmm.
far. So he's
Yep.
already made a cut to Social Security at this point.
Exactly.
And the cost of living adjustments will never catch up to that.
No.
No, I mean, we had one really good cost of living adjustment under Biden that was a
Mm-hmm.
shock to a lot of people. And it really, was a decent one compared to some of the ones that had been coming through prior to that. Some of the ones that had been coming through prior to that.
Right.
But, it's not going to keep up with the cost of living. You're right, TJ. It's just not.
Nope.
No, it's absolutely not. Well, Oliver's mom, thank you very much for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have you on. It's always good to hear your insights, and we'll tough this one out. We'll get through it eventually. It's not going to be fun. It will be a little painful, but in the end, I believe we'll win because that's always the case. We always get through it one way or another.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that we will get through it in the end. It's just going to be a rough time getting there. That's all.
It
Right.
absolutely is. Well, take care of yourself and stay in touch with us here. We love to hear from you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
You
All right,
too.
thank you, Oliver's mom. Always good to hear from her. Let's see if there's who else is here. Let's see if our guy came through. Uh, a lot of people, man.
Yep.
All right. Let's see here. Let's go with JD. He no doubt has something to say, and he's of the younger generation, so it'll be interesting to see. He's Gen Z, and he's a farmer. JD, welcome. What the hell's on your mind tonight?
Uh, well, Kim was just talking about the Supreme Court thing on the
Right.
back. I was thinking about that this morning, and I think that he issued that ruling, they issued that stay so that they could come up with a ruling later on about it and make a
Yeah.
statement about,
Well, that's what somebody said. I don't know if it's true, but
yeah.
I hope so.
Because I mean, it should be an open and shut case, and
Absolutely, absolutely.
if the court wanted to make a statement and say, no, Donnie, you're not going to do this stuff, this would be the time to do it.
Right.
Yeah, it
And-
would. And they could have said, yeah, we're not even going to take it up. That's not our thing.
Right.
They could have done that, but instead they put a pause on, and then of course everybody freaked out. But who knows? Maybe Supreme Court has finally gotten to the point where they're going, hey, shit, you may take our power away from us.
Right.
And that's got to be weighing on them a little bit.
Well, I want to talk about that a little bit. I think that Roberts and Kavanaugh and Amy Coney Barrett care about that. I don't think
Yeah.
Alito and Thomas care about that. Because I think that even though Amy Coney Barrett's been okay, Kavanaugh's not, John Roberts, he really hasn't either. But I think they have a very small slice of integrity left, and
A
the
small
rest of them,
slice.
yeah, a small slice, because they know that this is wrong. And even though they're sycophants to Donald Trump, they still know that this is wrong. Alito and Thomas don't care at all. If the whole thing
Yeah.
burns to the ground and they have no power, they've been promised so much above and beyond that in wealth that it doesn't matter.
You mean
Well, and the thing about it
Clarence
is,
Thomas?
the thing about it is that some of these people have to be looking at this and realize that it's coming to an end soon, and they're going to have a lot of mud on their faces
Right.
if they stick with Donald Trump. Now, in the case with Alito and Clarence Thomas, they're going to fucking retire. They don't give a fuck. But at least the rest of them are going to have to deal with the aftermath, and
Right.
that could be a problem for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, where the fuck is Amy Coney Barrett going? She's like my age. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
where the fuck?
Yeah.
She's been fairly moderate on a few things though, because she
She
is
has.
starting to realize that that they're bullying her, and she doesn't like that. Like
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, she's getting the woman reality from all these
exactly.
all these fucks, old fucks on there.
Those old men, white men are
old white
bullying
men,
her, and
yeah.
she doesn't like it.
She's been a little surprising as of late. Yeah, she's interesting. I'm going to pull somebody else up here that we know
Oh,
and is here
75
frequently.
Corvette.
Hello, 75 Corvette.
Oh, hey, hi guys. I turned my head for a minute. I didn't even know you brought me up.
We're
We brought
sneaky.
you up. What's that?
We're like a ninja over here.
Yeah. I put my name in and then I kind of got busy doing stuff. Oh my
So
God.
what's on your mind?
Well, to the point of Oliver's mom when she was talking about the tariffs, a lot of what was explained after the fact by a couple of economists and wasn't really clarified to people. And maybe it isn't even, it's a negligible point because the damage is done, as you said. But when he was doing when someone was breaking down how he arrived at those numbers, which were not at all accurate in any way, shape, or form, some of the other countries that they were talking about only export one item. And there are a lot of smaller countries and some more impoverished than we are, right? So there was an imbalance because they only have one thing to export and they don't need anything that we have because they're poor. They're not
Right.
importing American goods because they can't afford them. So let's just say that we're talking about, like, say, and I'm not even sure what the gross national product is of Vietnam, but I know one of them is coffee. So let's say that coffee comes out of Vietnam and we're buying that because that's one of their biggest crops that they sell. They're not in need of some of the things that we produce. And they're not buying our crops because they have the kind of climate where they can also grow other fruits and vegetables and they can sustain their own people. So they're not going to be reciprocal, right? They're going to say, we have coffee and the United States likes coffee, drinks coffee, likes to blend all kinds of coffees together. And we have this type of a bean. And Vietnamese coffee's been around forever, like Turkish, like Arabica,
Right.
like Colombian, like all around the world, warm climates most of them grow coffee. And they're not in the market for what we make because we make high-end,
Right.
expensive things. They're not buying American-made cars. They don't need cars.
Right.
They're not using vehicles in their countries. Some of these countries, the imbalance is because they have one thing that is keeping their economy going, even in poverty, and that is
Right.
that one export. So they are not in kind importing our goods. Now take bigger countries like China. China's not importing our goods because they make everything that we buy. They don't need us. I was just on a live 2 nights ago because I was looking at a vehicle that the Chinese make, the BYD, and I'm trying to figure out how to get one and not bring it in through the normal route by having it sent to a non-tariff country, right, between China and another country. And then that country and us, where their tariff may be much lower than China's tariff is, okay? That's
Yeah.
before he added the other 50% on. And so China's having no problem selling their automobiles, their vehicles, their cheap products, their well-made products. They've been making Apple's phones for decades now at this point. They know how to do
Right.
everything, and they got all the manufacturing. They've got all the factories, and they've got all the workers and all the people. So what do they need from us? Virtually nothing. This is
Yeah.
why there's a trade imbalance, because these countries do not need what we have to sell. And other countries, better countries with more money and more ability to do, tit for tat, the French send us their wine and they buy something from us. They don't want our produce and our agriculture because it's poison.
Right.
Theirs is
Yeah.
better. It's not filled with chemical pesticides, chemical fertilizers, pollution in the water, pollution. They don't want it. That's why they don't want it. Because tonight Trump was at a dinner for the Republicans and he gave this bullshit speech again tonight. And he lied to those people, and whether or not they just clap along because they're not stupid people if they're paying that $1 million a head to be there, okay? They're clapping along like they're acting like, oh yeah, he's telling us something that's so important. He's lying to everyone, but the cameras were there. He's lying to the MAGAs, the people watching him in a tuxedo and go, oh yeah, that's my guy. Yeah. Okay, that's who he was talking to. He wasn't talking to that audience. Those people are smarter than that. They know exactly what
Yeah.
he's doing because it's to their benefit. It's all to their benefit. Look, it's it's to your benefit too. And everyone on this panel, and I'm not saying this to be sarcastic or to be ridiculous, but if you happen to have had cash somewhere, now would be the time to think about using it to make back some of your losses in the market. But do people have cash like that laying around? Probably that's a big fat no, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And any equity you had in your trading account that you could have used margin against is now gone. So you can't do that. And
Right.
Yeah.
you
Well,
can't
hey,
pull money out of your house because the fucking interest rates are too high.
I saw a story today where Marjorie Taylor Greene
Yep.
bought right before all this tariff shit started
Yep.
with Donald Trump.
$750,000.
She bought $750,000 in Treasury bonds, which
Yep.
is brilliant, because
But that's not brilliant
when
coming from her.
right when the stock market takes a shit, bonds are the way to go, right?
Right. But 90%
So
of the time, bonds are not the way to go.
exactly.
Yeah.
So she decided all out of the blue to buy $750,000 worth of Treasury bonds,
Right.
and then all of a sudden the stock market took a shit. If anyone thinks that wasn't part of the plan, they're crazy.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely.
100%. And since the summer when there was a severe dip last summer in technologies, especially in chips, and some of them dropped to lows they just now reached again. And people bought into that too. And they were predicting that for about a month, from like June through July, there's going to be a technology crash. So all this stuff is manipulated because when it's predicted and it comes true, then someone had control over that happening. Because if you know that you can predict something and it comes true, that means you could have stopped it as well, right? It works.
Right.
It works both ways. So what people listen. I'm older. I'm not a college age student. I'm not even in my 30s. But the idea that people are now, because of social media, and more specifically because of TikTok, and I can tell you this personally, because I was not on TikTok before. I didn't even entertain myself with it. I could really care less about social media. I barely maintained an IG account, and I jumped off Facebook years ago. But TikTok the algorithm was so intelligent that while we're talking and we're grown-ups and we're mature people with careers and educations and experience, and we've lived life and we've seen a lot of things, we're not on the side of the 20-year-olds that are still doing the trends and dancing and doing, unless you want to be. And so TikTok created these pathways for people that had other interests. And because of science, politics, and finance, there are people now that know things that we didn't know 10 years ago.
Right.
I can tell you I've been investing in the stock market since I was a teenager when my dad introduced me. But all I ever knew was to buy and hold. And then I don't know, when I reached my late middle 30s, I had a conversation with my dad and I said, "Oh my God, the price is this and this and this." I said, I've seen it be lower than that and higher than that different times. I really didn't understand how the market worked. My father just said, "Just keep putting money in every month. Don't worry about it. Just put it in." Okay, crime. I said, "Can I sell it and then wait till it goes down and then buy it back? Like wouldn't that make sense?" And he's like, "Well, that's kind of what people do." And then after that bulb went off, I started to look. But did I know how to do a covered call back then? Nope. Did I know what an option was? Had no fucking idea. Did I have a margin in my account back then? Nope. Do I have it now? Absolutely. Did I get a call last week? You fucking better believe I did. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a different world. A lot of that education, science, nutrition, politics, people are learning things. I'm going to tell you, I took political science in college, but I could not name the governor of 25 states when I was in college studying that, but I can tell you the governor of a minimum of 25 states today. I can tell
Wow.
you who's the major players in the Senate. I can tell you who, I mean, I knew all the other basics, like how many people there were there, but I didn't know who they were. Could tell you who the stars are in the House. We've all gotten such an enormous education now that it hurts even more to see what he's doing to the country, because now people have a modicum of understanding, yet there's still a whole massive number of people that have no clue, have no idea.
Yeah.
You know who's not crying right now? The people that are impoverished because they've never owned a stock and they don't even know what it's about.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're right now, some of them are getting their jollies off saying, "Okay, good for you people. You didn't care about us when we were poor. Now we don't give a shit about you losing your money because you thought you were better than us," right?
Right.
Right. Exactly.
There's a whole repercussion of the haves and have nots swapping places right now. And I'll share one last story with you. My dad told me when we were very young, he was destitute poor. My grandmother came over here from Italy in 1893, started giving birth at age 13 and gave birth to 13 children. 12 survived, and my dad was the last one of them.
Jesus.
So yeah, my dad was the last one
Wow.
of them. So, and she never learned to speak English and she never became a citizen. So if she was alive today, she'd be being deported, and my dad would too, because he wouldn't have birthright, right? According to Trump. And so
Right.
I'm really
Wow.
the first born American of an American, right? In my
Wow.
family. And
Right.
my dad said, through all the things that happened with the depression, with the market crashes in those early years, with people living, the poor people never felt a change because they were always poor. Their world
Yeah.
never changed. It didn't get better. It didn't get worse. It just was. And there was no opportunity. And they didn't even know that there was opportunity outside of and this goes for the Italians because I'm Italian. This goes for every nationality. Outside the ghettos they were living in, they had no fucking clue that people were wealthy, that people had nice homes and drove cars with not horse-drawn carriages. My father told me they were still using horse-drawn carriages when he was a child. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
They had the vegetable guy that went around with the horse in the cart, right? Would come around and sell you, 2 cents worth of tomatoes, so you had enough for that night to eat, right? It was
Right.
it was a
Right.
daily occurrence. People didn't have refrigerators. Some of them didn't even have ice boxes until much later. All these things, and that's only 100 years ago. Within a
Yeah.
100-year time frame, people now are understanding what they don't have. So the haves and have nots have always been there on the same planet, living maybe one block away, that separated New York City from the poor to where the rich neighborhood started, but you wouldn't dare go there.
Yeah.
You didn't belong, right? Because you would stand out and they would, literally chase people out of those neighborhoods. So today people have a more awareness. That's what global policies and global economies have done, and uplifted people's awareness, but it hasn't uplifted the people, only their
Yeah.
awareness. And they're angrier now than they've ever been about what they don't have because they know about it.
Yeah.
Right.
That's true. That's true. Well, 75 Corvette, thank you for coming on. And you said your grandmother had 13 kids. I guess we should be
13.
glad.
Holy shit.
I guess we should be glad that there weren't tariffs on having kids, because you might not even fucking be here at this point.
Well, listen, it's true. And by the time my dad again was the last one, He was the one right before the one that passed when it was born. It was stillborn,
Yeah.
and he had sisters that were easily like second, third, and fourth mothers by that point. Right? They were now all raising the younger ones. So even though 13 is a big number, my grandmother wasn't doing it alone by that age, and she had
True.
children well into her 40s and was giving birth. And so, listen, it's a world away. It's a world I don't know. I only heard the stories. My father grew up in poverty. I did not. He made sure of that. And so for that, I'm grateful. But I remember everything my grandmother on the other side, my mother's mother, shared as well. So we're not that far where I'm only one generation from fucking abject poverty, literally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't have
Yeah.
to
It's
experience it personally.
no. I'm fortunate I haven't either. Well, 75 Corvette, thank you for coming on. It's always a pleasure to have you on. You're always welcome to come back anytime. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. It's interesting hearing the stories, and she's absolutely right. If you've been in poverty all your life, when all these billionaires and all these oligarchs start crying about losing money, why would they give a fuck? It's
Right.
about time some of that unlucky chances get spread around a little bit. The poor people have been dealing with it all the time, every day, and now they're going to have to cut back on how many homes they have and that sort of thing. I'm going to pull somebody up here. Who is it? I think I'll go with his name is Timothy, I believe. I don't know that he's ever been on before, but we'll give it a shot.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
No, thanks for joining
yeah.
us, Timothy. What's on your mind?
I'm I'm an older generation too, and I saw what the first I was told by my grandparents and my parents that the first remember it wasn't called welfare, it was called relief. But
Right.
what happened was I still believe that somebody would say that, and I don't know what happens, with the 401k, nobody wants to draw out of it. My question is, like in the old days when they charged the banks and they wanted their money, what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Do you
Well,
think,
the run
yeah,
on
do
the
you think
banks.
that, yeah, run on the banks. Do you think that 401k is run on the banks now, or are people just going, well, we'll just let it settle and see what happens?
That's
That's my
that's an
question.
interest. That's an interesting point. When Donald Trump got elected, and knowing what I know about Republicans and what they do to 401ks, I said to my financial guy, I said, "Look, is the best investment strategy here to get a pillowcase, put all the money in it, and put it under my bed? That seems like the
Yeah,
safest fucking
absolutely.
option." And of course, he wasn't for that. I was. We'd already taken about half of our 401k and put it in a property that we wanted, that we could enjoy, that our kids could enjoy when we're dead. But that's a good point. Are people running to their 401ks and just pulling them out? There is an option. There are some options though to 401ks and just putting them in a less risky place like bonds or whatever. It's after the fact, of course, unlike Marjorie Taylor Greene. I was thinking about Marjorie Taylor Greene. If that bitch has got $750,000, wouldn't you want to do something with that face? At least take 50 of it and straighten that shit out.
I don't
Anyway,
think there's any
but
fixing that, bro. There's no
no,
fixing that.
probably not. Probably
Well,
not.
the
But
only thing I'm saying, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but do you think if it was so bad, do people really realize what a 401k is and how much they invested into it, and all of a sudden and the penalties are so bad that they don't want it. They don't want to take it out because it's if you have $100,000 in a 401k plan, and what's the percentage right now? What's the rate right now
oh
for
shit,
the
I don't know.
taxes?
But
I
what
don't
they'll
know either.
probably do is move it to bonds or something safer. Is what they'll
Yes,
probably do.
Yeah.
yes.
Well, it depends on how you move it, because like if you take it out and then you try to reinvest it other ways, you could pay capital gains tax.
Yeah.
So it just depends. Like you could pull your money and roll it into a Roth IRA and you're fine. but it just really depends on how you take the money.
Yeah, and some companies don't allow you to take it out. You have to roll it over. So even if you're willing to pay that tax, sometimes you can't take it out.
So
That's
so
true.
actually, it might just be better just to leave it there for a while, see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. I know a lot of people are struggling with it. There are a lot of people who have 401ks that are uh, retired and they're living off the income from the 401ks. I'm fortunate that I don't have to do that. My 401k is going to be left to my kids, so even if it does go down, they'll have time to recoup it after we're long dead. But people are counting on that income every month, and if their 401ks are dropping, that not only costs them actual cash, but it costs them in monthly income, and that's got to be terrifying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is I'm lucky in some ways. It's just the way you are that my property's paid off, and I can live on. Well, I won't be able to
Yeah,
go out and get that $1 million lot yacht anymore that I wanted.
yeah, well,
And yeah, but the thing is, I'm living on. We're living on living a budget now. I'm 71. My wife's 71, and our house is paid off, but I still depend on the little necessities that you have to depend on. Yeah.
well, I'm hearing from some folks right now that are getting ready to retire, and they live in their bigger houses that they raise their families in, and they'd like to downsize, get into a condo, kind of like we did, just simplify things a little bit and pare things down. But right now they're terrified to even do that. They don't know what that will mean in terms of selling their house and trying to buy another house. They're almost at a point where they say, "I'm just going to sit back and wait before I do anything because we don't know what's coming next."
And that makes it to me that makes sense. To me,
Yeah,
but to the younger people that are trying to, like you said before, with something you want to leave to your kids or anything like that,
yeah.
um, it's gonna be tough, and I hope they don't look back on us and say, "You son of a bitch, you spent all the money and blah blah blah." You didn't. All you did was try to help everybody out. So
Well,
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
anything you can put into a protected trust for your kids is the best thing you can possibly do.
Yeah, true. Well, I got to tell
Mm.
you, with my kids, the way we've helped them up to this point, and the way we set them up for when we're dead, if my kids bitch, fuck them. Fuck
yeah,
them.
that's what I'm saying.
Because my
Yeah,
mom and dad
yeah,
didn't do that
pretty
for me.
much, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Timothy, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I listen
Sure.
to you all the time, and like I said, I'm 71, and I listen to you all the time, and I'm a true Democrat, and
Thank you.
I appreciate how you
Swear?
put things out. No,
Swear?
no, don't worry about that swearing. Fuck yeah, I don't give a shit. But
Exactly.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, you're true middle American and living where you live and stuff like that, and you see things how it's gone. So thank you very much for being
Thank you. I appreciate that.
yeah, and I'll talk to you again. Okay. I just
You're
want to
you're
make
more than
sure. I
welcome back
just I
anytime.
was just trying to get a information if we should have taken our 401ks and just thrown them out and just invested in gold. you know.
I'm not the guy to ask because I'm not a financial guy, and I
I
literally
know. Me
literally ask
neither.
my guys, should I put this
Isn't
under my bed?
isn't
So
Yeah.
isn't
yeah,
isn't silver a better investment right now? I could be wrong, but
I think
Well,
it'd probably be a good investment right now. I got a bad news for people who drink coffee. We don't make coffee in this country. Well, we do in Hawaii a little bit, but that shit's really expensive and it's not enough to cover what we need here. Anybody who drinks coffee is going to have to get it from overseas, and that shit's
yeah,
going to get
I've
expensive.
been stocking up the K cups.
Yeah, maybe that's what we do is we take all our money and buy couple truckloads of fucking coffee and sell them at premium prices.
I guess I'm in a good spot because I don't drink coffee. So.
I don't either. But I'll sell the shit out of it if I got some.
Oh, heck yeah.
Timothy, thank you very much. Give your best. Give our best
thank you.
to your wife.
Look, and I'm going to tell you what, that coffee is not going to do anything the same way as rubber did for Ford. It's not going to do anything. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
All right. Thank you very much. There's so many things that are going to be impacted by what's going on now. And like I said, even if he pulls back on it, we're still going to get some of the ripples of what's happening. And it's not going to be good. It's going to cost people a lot of money, and it's going to put people in bad situations. Mm-hmm. It's just unavoidable at this point.
We're killing it on the guests tonight.
So I have a kind of a interesting thing. So you all, I've said this many times. I work one night a week at Home Depot, like 3 to 4 hours. And I've worked there for 5 years. And they have several, pretty good things for employees. But one of them is that you can sign up to put in a certain amount of money to buy Home Depot stock at a 15% discount. Now, Home Depot stock, I started there in 2020 during COVID. So Home Depot stock at that time was at like $450 a share because they're FEMA. So they, so they, they had to be open. So there was no like closures for Home Depot. So their stock obviously skyrocketed during COVID because everybody else was able to close, like small, like anything that sells Home Depot stuff was able to close. Lowe's isn't FEMA, mostly just Home Depot. So their stock was like ridiculous. It is now down to, I think it's $350 a share right now. So I think I own like over 5 years. Well, I couldn't buy into it after my first year. So over 4 years, I have amassed a like two and a half shares of Home Depot stock because I work so little. So, but like still like it's at $350 right now. So like I am buying Home Depot stock shares at like way less. Now, I don't know if it's ever going to go up to those like COVID prices again, but it's that's the whole thing is like these stocks are like so low, like, and we know that like all these millionaires who own all this stock and everything, like, should we be buying stock in like, is that like something we should be doing? Is that,
maybe younger folks, but at 65, I'm not buying any stock, especially as it is now, because if I'm waiting for it to come back, I may be in diapers and mumbling to myself by the time it comes back. So no, I'm not going to do that. But for younger folks, it may be a good opportunity.
So what are you saying? You want to be like Donald Trump, wearing diapers and mumbling to yourself?
Well, I figure when I wear diapers and mumbling to myself, then I'll make a run for the presidency and probably win.
You probably have a pretty good shot.
Yeah. I'm going to bring somebody else up here. You all know. This should liven things up a little bit.
Oh, Will.
Will was out there lurking, so
lurking. It's a good term.
It's kind of like the little kid standing outside a candy store. Let me in, motherfucker. So what?
Hey guys, how you doing tonight? Yeah, just this won't be long because 12:30 my time. But you were mentioning coffee, and I got to bring something up that because MAGA will do anything for Trump. They will lie, cheat, die, the whole bit. And someone brought up coffee, and someone said, "Well, that's easy. There's a Folgers plant in the United States. They'll just make it there." Do you know where the beans come from? You dumbass. Yeah, that's American made. No, it's not. It's American packaged, not American made. Most of our coffee comes from Venezuela, Brazil, and Colombia. So he put a 10% tariff on that. And by the way, and someone mentioned, we got coffee in Hawaii and Puerto Rico. Kona coffee costs $60 a pound. A pound. And that's exclusive.
And even if you wanted to pay that, Hawaii and Puerto Rico don't make enough coffee to cover what
No.
we use in this country.
And it's like when Starbucks is $10 for a small cup, because we know where to get their coffee, what
Yeah.
then? I'm just waiting for the corporations to finally catch up to this, because they've been waiting for their tax cuts. Well, how your taxes need to be offset with your raw material prices? I mean,
Yeah.
no one knows how economics works. Raw material prices are one of the most expensive things in a business, and they keep fucking with it, and they're about to find out. But everyone's still running around and said everything's fine, everything's okay. Oh, by the way, we just took away your neighbors without any due process, but don't worry about them. They were just
Yeah.
brown people anyway. I mean, that's what I'm. And the Supreme Court, they're fine with it. Fuck it. Fourth Amendment of Constitution, who needs that shit? Fuck you all. I mean, that's
The
where it's
reason
at right now, and I'm a little pissy about it today.
Will, I've known you for a while now. I haven't known you not to be pissy. This isn't new.
It's Team
And I
Surf.
appreciate-
What can I say? And also,
only when he's on vacation that he.
well,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I
That's-
came today. When you work with the public, I had a gate, and what I do for a living. When I ask you for your date of birth and you say, "What does it matter?" Dude, I need to know how old you are in order to do this properly. Why do you need my age? Okay, that's what I dealt with all day. So humanity right now to me, and I said this in a post, if there's a pandemic to wipe out all humanity, I'm fine with it because the cats will take over and everything will be okay
Yeah.
then.
Fuck
And
no.
that's my
it'll-
day. I'm
it'll-
sorry.
It's not going to be the cats, bro. It's the dire wolves that are going to take over.
There you go.
Yeah, but the cats are the smart one. They'll run everything. The Direwoods will
know.
work for the cats. Trust me, I know.
So what do you think, Will?
But
now
also,
that
we
the,
got to remember one thing about, because you mentioned Home Depot. The real estate market's next. They don't
Yeah.
get it. When the real estate market, like you were talking about people selling their homes, great. But if you're upside down in your house, even if you paid it off, you're screwed. There are so many things that are going to happen in the next 2 months that's going to affect this economy. And everyone's like, yeah, well, and they're just waiting, thinking everything's going to get better. It ain't going to get better. No
So
damn way.
since the tariffs have now officially happened, it was supposed to happen at midnight or 11:59 Eastern time. It's now 11:17 Central time, and where Will is, it's past 12 o'clock. What do you think happens differently today or tomorrow for me with the tariffs intact as opposed to what happened today? Do we see another terrible dive in the stock market?
It should. I mean, I could see a big drop. Trump will do something to try to stop it. That whole announcement of the 90-day thing was a break, was a lie to break it. They'll do something. But I just wanted to say my piece real quick. I'm going to let you guys get back to it. You have a good night, and I'll catch you guys on the flip end. Be safe, all right?
You will.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks a lot, Will.
Later, Will.
Will must be a little sick because he was a little low key tonight.
Yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to pull somebody else up here. Some people that have been waiting. We'll see. I don't know if I think this person's been up before, so I think we're safe. But we'll see. Name is Steve. Are you with us, Steve? Doesn't appear to be.
Well, Steve doesn't look like he's with us.
No,
Nope.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll see what else we got here. Okay, we'll try somebody by the name of Laylara. We'll see if she's ready to come. Laylara, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you guys doing?
Good.
I'm doing all right. What's pissing me off tonight?
Well, I'm an investment advisor, and it's been a really
Ooh.
painful month and a half.
Boy. Oh, I'm
Oh,
sorry.
shit.
My book.
What are you telling people?
Hey. So, just in full disclosure, my book is $389 million. My
Yeah.
worst hit My worst hit is 2.1 million in losses in the past 4 weeks on one account. Client is not
Take it
happy.
that's unusual. Yeah.
Yes, I am pretty much bleeding about 100K every 4 days
Wow.
on average right now. And my firm has taken a stance that just by the way we have most accounts set for, most of my clients are in their 50s and 60s because it does require a lot of money just to get started with us. But
Yeah.
I would say our take on it is that there's about a 24% chance that we're going to end in the negative this year. But when we stress test the accounts, the work we saw, and keep in mind, when we first did it, it was right when he was elected. So the worst we
Right.
saw was like negative 8% for worst scenarios. And there was over an 80% chance that we'd at least be in the positive, with a 30% chance that we would probably make another 25% for our clients net of fees. Now we've just recently updated that, as you well know. We've updated that, and we're setting expectations for more like 10 to 15%, with a continued volatility well into the second quarter. We think now it's going to be much longer conversation, but overall, because most of it is sentiment driven, everybody's upset about it. It's not so much economically driven yet, because tonight is when they go into effect. And
Right.
we'll see if they're going to put some guardrails on it. We just don't know yet. But it's been a tough 2 months.
I assume people are coming to you angry and upset and scared. What do you tell these people? This is a tough situation for you. I mean, this has got to make your life miserable every day, nothing but bad news.
Yeah, so my biggest concern is that we don't have a study. We don't have a study where we move folks to cash, and they outperform the market for the long term.
Right.
9 times out of 10, we're going to miss the pullback. We're going to miss the bounce back day, and that's the most productive time in the market and the quickest way you can get your money back. So
Yeah.
now, if we hadn't moved it already, we're telling folks don't move it. It's too late.
Right.
We got to wait it out. The other thing is, we haven't had a bear market last longer than a year in a decade. The longest one we had lasted 8 months, and that was 22, and we lost like 23% from our portfolios. But the next year, we made 30% for our clients net of fees. So,
Right.
and even with COVID, down like 38% for a month when they first started the news announcements, because that was chaos. But we ended the year over 20% net of fees, even with all that craziness going on. So for us, it doesn't make much sense now if you're already in it. We're just telling them to hold the line, because they have statistically a better. They're statistically in a better position than moving the cash. And honestly, for the way inflation works now and the outrageous cost of healthcare, especially long-term care, they're going to need a lot of money in their 70s and 80s. And so for most people sitting in a 60-40 strategy, or like, 30% stock, 70% bonds, for most folks, frankly, that's not going to make sense. Their accounts aren't going to grow fast enough to equate for their hospitalization in the future and any, continued costs just to live, especially women, because they tend to live longer, outlive their spouses. So for most folks, we don't have them sitting that conservative anymore. We think that's a very old, outdated model that doesn't make sense with today's realities of cost of living. And so we have most people probably sitting 100% in stock or 70-30. And that has done really well. We've pretty much been double. The past 15 years have been great for us. We're doubling accounts every 4.5, 5 years instead of 7 years.
Right.
And for a lot of those people, if they came to us like pre-2020, that group of folks are cool because they have a significant amount built up, right? So they're not that nervous. But if they just came to us like 2021, 2022, then that means that they were with us when the market dropped, and then they feel like last year was their real year where they finally started making money. And so now to watch it all disappear is very disheartening. They're scared.
Right.
And they're harder to they're just harder to convey the message that they need to sit still and stop listening to it so much every day.
Well, I'm looking at the comments, and somebody by the name of B Skinny says the Dow future's already down 668. So that's not good news.
Yeah, it's going to be a
Fuck
tough
no, it's not
Wednesday.
good news.
Yep, it's going to be a tough Wednesday. I say, let me see what we were down 16%, 14% yesterday on S&P so far.
Yeah.
I literally told two of my clients yesterday, just to properly level set. I told them I wouldn't be surprised if we, the worst of it, we get down to negative 25, 28% before it slows down and turns back around.
Yeah. There's got to be a bottom. We just don't know where that bottom is.
Of course, the more they push it further down, like, stop. I really wish we could take Twitter's accounts from the president and then Elon and a couple other people. I just really wish they stay off of there. And if they're gonna, and really get some guys in there who know economic policy and risk variation theory, the way they're calculating things is just really wonky. I've never seen anyone make determinations on tariff percentages in my whole life, and I just never seen it before. It's so creepy and weird, and even our researchers are very frustrated about it. Even my boss was on TV recently. He's usually pretty quiet, but and he's definitely right leaning, and even he kind of broke protocol and said some pretty dicey words the day before yesterday on the news. So I don't know. I think it's a little bit rough. I would set expectations that the rest of the spring is going to be rough, and I don't think they have enough political capital to drag this out to next year because of midterms. It'll be harder. To really keep on message if we're still down in the negative. His are going to roll, and rightly so. So we're kind of leaning on like this calming down by the middle of the summer, and then we spend at least the third and fourth quarter trying to get back to positive and maybe squeak out a little bit of positivity by the end of the year. Like I said, try to get somewhere between 8 and 12%, somewhere like that.
Well, hopefully that is the case. Laura, I'm going to wrap things up here. We've gone a little farther than we normally do. I don't like to overstay my welcome. So thank you for coming on. It's great to hear from all these people that have all these insights and experience. And I know a lot of people are at least helped by what you had to say today. And Rebecca and TJ and JD, thank you for joining us. All the other folks, thank you for joining us. Will, for popping in. I hope you all have a great day. And we'll talk to you again tomorrow.
Thanks, Mike.
Bye, Mike.
Bye-bye.